Hello everybody, welcome back. So we're going to have a quick look at Bitcoin and before we do that we're going to look at the Nasdaq. I know it's boring, but there is relevance to looking at it. I wouldn't say that they're massively correlated, but they do definitely share some kind of some correlation. I wouldn't say it's strong, but it's relevant. It's relevant enough to look at. So this is Nasdaq's current close from last week. All right, so we look at that compared to the Nasdaq's pre-market at the moment. So we're actually continuing down at the moment from the candle close. So it would imply, I know it's just a pre-market, but it would imply that that it is going to continue to go down, and that would also be, you know, fair to say with the state of this chart being below all major moving averages. Now, if we just quickly look at it on the 4-hourly, we are approaching the 200 exponential, which, you know, I suppose rarely gets tagged, and if it does, it's pretty messy because I use exponentials because I'm primarily a crypto trader, but you know, in traditional markets, exponentials aren't really that relevant, but we'll be looking for an area around here where we could actually see an actual relief rally. I'm not talking about reversal, I'm just talking about an obvious kind of area. So we're talking the low 190 zone, right? So whether it's on or below, probably below. So towards the 190 area, basically, I'd expect a bit of a relief rally, and that should be felt across the board for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is definitely at the moment the hanging on the coattails, basically, of traditional markets, and this is why I made that video about, you know, that I've been sort of, I suppose, promoting myself with, saying that the traditional markets are pulling back because of blah 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 blah. You've heard it all before, and actually I find it like pretty awesome when I go to my comments, because I have to approve comments on my channel, not because I'm like a twat that's like going through the good ones and the bad ones. It's because I have so many scammers calling themselves Crypto Click, pretending to be me, going, thanks for the comment, please join this Telegram and pay XYZ amount and I'm like, oh god. So I have to approve all comments. So I go on there several times a day just to approve comments, any comment, whether it's good or bad, so long as they're not by some scammer called Crypto Click. And I've got a whole resurgence of older videos, you know, 2, 3, 4 weeks old videos of people going, you were wrong. And I'm like, well, I suppose if you look at it in context of what's going on today, don't you know that YouTubers are never wrong? But in all fairness, this is why I suppose if you want to watch my videos, you need to subscribe to the channel and follow what I say on a daily basis, because as you all know, markets don't stay the same. Do you know what I mean? What was relevant 4 weeks ago is obviously not relevant today, and the reasons for that all explained in the videos that I made last week. So there you go, a little disclaimer for my awesomeness. Subscribe, put the bell on, you might as well, that way you can keep up to date with it, and don't watch videos that are 4 weeks old and expect them to still be relevant, especially after a calamity event, which is what's happened in the market, not just Bitcoin but across all markets. Anyway, let's go to our friend Bitcoin first. So Bitcoin pulling down, and like I said, I expected to see a range get fleshed out, and the range being maybe as low as 40,000 to basically the top being 49,000. This is what could become the new I suppose consolidation is not the right word, but it's continuing to consolidate, obviously, but the new accumulation area. Okay, so we could be in here for days, weeks, or months, right? There's no end to it until we start to see things slowly turn around. And as I said to people in my Telegram, I said, look, you know, to make any decisions on what's actually going to happen in the short term, it's not possible until a range has been formed. At the moment, the range, you know, the top is all the way down up here, the bottom was all the way down here. That's not a relevant range. A relevant range of most recent price action is yet to be uncovered, and that's going to be down here, and that's what I would expect. Breaking down below here, we can actually entertain the very realistic possibility of a bear market, but I don't think that's the case, because I feel as though I know or I understand why this harsh drop has kicked in, which is why I made those videos last week of why we should not be at all surprised if we got this. It's not to do with Bitcoin's chart, and I actually I hold my hands up and said on 2 videos and many times on the Patreon live streams that charts can also become completely irrelevant when we have outside forces dictating financial markets, which is basically what's happening at the moment, or partially what's happening at the moment. So that giant sell-off seems to have mostly happened for Bitcoin. Could it continue in traditional markets? Well, this is why one of the main reasons we have to wait and see. It would appear that we might see a relief rally on Nasdaq, but again, that remains to be seen. Traditional markets will drive Bitcoin, or at least help to stabilize it if they can stabilize further. This is one beast of a sell-off, and yeah, I expect a lower area, 40,000 or thereabouts, and that's where my next buy order is. It's about 40. Well, it's this area here. It's 40,800 at the top of this very thick wick I've got here. So this thick this thick horizontal trend line. So yeah, I do expect lower lows. That's no problem at all for me. Something I've been trying to explain to people on Telegram throughout the most part of this year actually is that one of my preferences is to trade with a Bitcoin pair. So we look at Tether pairings all the time. Trading altcoins, I do obviously trade with Tether, especially on the smaller exchanges where there's no option for a Bitcoin pair. But where possible, I try and trade with a Bitcoin pair. And one of the reasons for this is because if you treat Bitcoin as your balance, you're almost, I suppose, void of any kind of attachment to your unrealized gains on their dollar, pound, or euro value, or whatever it is that you're looking at, which can obviously hurt in times like this. Whereas at the moment, my main Binance account, I said today on my Telegram, I had a look at it. I'm down what would appear to be less than 5% of my Bitcoin balance, right? Which is pretty impressive stuff. Obviously, Kucoin, I daren't look at it because that's not the case. That's not going to be the case. I'll be down significantly. I must be more than 25%. Like I said, I daren't look at it. But with my main Binance account, which is where the majority of my trading takes place, less than 5% of my sats, right? If I looked at the dollar value, it would be obviously a lot more. But because I trade in Bitcoin, and that's the overall goal, is to accumulate more and more Bitcoin through the use of alts, when I see these drops like this, they are actually pretty nice. I do enjoy them, and you don't need me to remind you that altcoins are coming down extremely harsh. And if we think about what this means for the Bitcoin dominance chart, it actually makes perfect sense for it to have happened, at least on the first tap, which was the be-all and end-all super mega support that we normally hedge further into Bitcoin every time we come down to it, which is the 40 to 40.5% dominance, right? So big support from it here. This is in the face of the dump in May, so that would have saved you some pain if you would have hedged into Bitcoin. This time round, this was when the market was slowly going bullish and altcoins outperformed Bitcoin for a short period of time, and this one was obviously in the face of a dump. So catching bounces around here is usually an indicator for Bitcoin strength or altcoin extra weakness, basically. So I suppose using the term strength is well, in comparison to altcoins. But as we've discussed many times, shouldn't ever really underestimate the power of altcoins, especially since January, where we got mostly into them. This is something that I'm going to explain now about the next strategy. Well, I suppose it's the continuation of the strategy of playing a very simple Bollinger Band strategy, really, which is what this is. Since we broke down from the absolute top, and again, for those who are part of this channel and Patreon and Telegram, we all managed to get into altcoin positions around here, and we all had a great time. To be honest with you, it was the best time. And so it's all there for those to see. We smashed it. We destroyed the market. So now we play it safe down here, but overall, the Bollinger Band strategy seems to be relatively strong. Rejections on the 20 weekly. We had a small period of Bitcoin strength versus altcoins, but it was short-lived. And then as soon as we started getting rejections, back into altcoins again. And this is, I suppose, where altcoins are going to get trashed. There is a chance that this obviously continues up, and it would obviously continue up if we're in a bear market. We would see the dominance rise, as we always do, or how we have done in a previous bear market. This is the last bear market, all the way up until roughly around this area. This is more or less where the bull market began. So a massive increase in Bitcoin dominance, and now what we're seeing is, obviously we could say, if a bear market kicks in, then you'd see the similar kind of thing. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think this is still arranged to be played on the Bitcoin dominance chart, and that would mean that we could lift up to as lower area as 43, and this is just a weekly chart, so this is what it would be this week. So I don't think this is going to turn around this week. But if we start to lift up to 43.3, 43.4% dominance. That's where we could start to think about a micro rotation from our Bitcoin position into some altcoins. And it'll be a short-term trade potentially. We'll see where it goes. It might even fail, but for the moment, we got a short signal on the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly here, I have no reason to doubt that the Bollinger Band strategy on this weekly chart will remain, and that this is a very bearish chart still, and that we're getting a bounce like we would expect to get around the 40% dominant zone. But the more times you test the support, the more likely it is to break, to be honest, and so we could easily be looking at some serious altcoin gains somewhere along the lines based upon this. And just as a bit of an example, right, I was talking to people on the Telegram today. So you remember what it was like in December last year. So I'm just going to bring your mind back to a couple of the three of the coins that we sort of traded around December versus their Bitcoin parents. So this was Matic, So Matic, we used to love trading Matic on this channel. It was a very popular coin to trade on the channel, a very profitable one. Now this is FET actually. So this is FET. So this is also one of the sort of main ones that we got into and did some serious money out of it. Actually, it wasn't that serious. It's like a 10x, but it's decent money. It's decent money anyway. So we saw that a tailing off of sats, wrecked, oversold, massively oversold. And this is also where the Bitcoin dominance was finding itself to a very, very obvious area of rejection. Again, way more obvious over here than this would be here, but it's still an indicator worth thinking about. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's not the secret sauce to any kind of trading, but it's definitely something worth referencing if you ever wanted to trade an altcoin. And so December, people were saying, "Oh, get into Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the place. Bitcoin's the king. Altcoins are dead." And as we all hopefully remember, if you were following me on the channel, so actually, I think Bitcoin's going to have a little bit of a breather. I think altcoins are where the money's going to be, and they were, weren't they? Let's have a look at how much money they were. So this is January up to the peak. Not that we traded something this size, but 876% increase for its Bitcoin pair. So one Bitcoin in down here could have been over 8 Bitcoins over here. So this is what we're looking at now. This kind of similar kind of situation. We've got the same with SXP. I'm not suggesting these are the things you need to be trading now, but these are the coins that were on our radar around December last year. SXP, dead. Get into Bitcoin, you idiots. Bitcoin is the king. Bitcoin's the future. Bitcoin is the one that's rallying. And what the heck? Oh my god, 400% versus Bitcoin. One Bitcoin down here would have ended up being 4 Bitcoins over here. And so now we're looking at the same kind of vibe. We're going to have some oversold altcoins at some point soon. We're looking for an indicator to get in on those. And again, the simple Bollinger Band strategy on the Bitcoin dominance is one way to think about entering a position. Again, the overall market determined by traditionals is also going to be a major indicator too. So it's not as simple as all of this. We can't just say that Bitcoin dominance is blah, 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 blah. And this is a great example. This is Matic. This is one of our favorite trades back in the olden days. Big move here, another big move here. We were crushing Matic all over the place, and then all the way down to December. Get out of altcoins, you idiot! Bitcoin is the future. Bitcoin is the way. Bitcoin is the... Look, I mean, you can't even see it properly, but Bitcoin is the what the heck? No, it's not all about Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin's good. In the long term, Bitcoin is always good, because almost always a Bitcoin versus any altcoin chart is just a giant demolition ground, really. But there's opportunity. Doesn't mean there's opportunity today, nor would there be tomorrow. We'll see, won't we? But this is one way that we can think about it. Bitcoin dominance on a weekly, Nasdaq, obviously seeing how that works, and if we can also think about the dollar index as well, which we might as well bring up now for fun, the old Dixie chart. And we'll see how high this is at the moment. So again, we've been talking on this channel, again, not to blow my own trumpet, but it's worth reminding those who look at these old videos and think that is it. I've continued with the narrative that the dollar is bullish, and for those who talk about how the dollar is dead. I mean, the dollar will be dead likely on the very, very long term, as all currencies devalue. You can see that if you go to like a monthly chart. Obviously, the dollar, like all charts, currency charts, do this, right? So yeah, of course, in the very, very long term. But in the short term, it's strong, and it continues to remain strong. If you look at a chart like this, you'd be like, oh, I want to trade that, don't I? I want to trade that. course, you want to trade that because it's a good looking chart. You can see that now, but we've been talking about this for months, at least for a few months now, about how the dollar will continue and continue, which is why we have these areas of resistance that break. Our next area of resistance is here, 97, which is more or less pre-pandemic levels, and then we're going all the way over here, 99.5. Look, the dollar will obviously go down in value over many years, but in the short term, catching a serious bounce, and we have gone into an aggressive uptrend, and this is like a snowballing effect. It's like a vicious circle, and the stronger the dollar, the weaker anything pegged to a dollar, traded in a dollar is, right? So that correlates to traditional markets, correlates to crypto obviously, and commodities alike, all the same. So the thing you could look at here is, all right, where are we going to get a rejection? So this could offer the rejection, this could be it, and this could be the relief that everybody's waiting for, all the way up here at 97 or just thereabouts, you know. If that breaks, then feel the pain all the way up to these levels here, 99.5, and the pain will be felt across the board. The way things are going at the moment, they're not really slowing down, and I would expect that to be the case this week in general, as the markets, just like Bitcoin, we've established a range within Bitcoin. We'd be looking for a range within traditional markets too, and the dust needs to settle before anyone can make any particular calls of any significance. So there's nothing wrong with sitting back and going, well, it is what it is, let's sit back and wait. We have to wait. That's what it is. You do have to wait. Now, there are obviously areas of interest that if we were to break above on Bitcoin, then we can start to talk about being bullish again. Initially, it would be 50,000, but ideally, we'd want to get back in within this range, and to be honest, within the buy zone, really, which was the initial buy zone that broke down. So if we start to get above 53.8, why am I saying it like that? 53,800. 53,800. If we get back into this box, then things could actually turn around relatively quickly, and we could go into my second most likely scenario, which is actually a V-shaped recovery, which it might sound impossible and very moon boyish to talk about, but it's not an unlikely scenario. It's my second preferred scenario. My first obviously is to be in this area and work out where the supports are, where the resistances are, and see which direction picks up most momentum. But if we were to for whatever reason, rocket into this level and close candle bodies within this initial buy zone, then yeah, things could turn around very quickly. We could talk about a V-shaped recovery. Again, I have to stress, part of trading is recognizing that sometimes there are no trades to be made. It's best to sit back and wait and watch, and you don't have to trade every single day. And I certainly don't. When it comes to spot trading, I would probably make, I don't know really. I mean, it's hard to say, but not that many. You'd be surprised at how little trades you really do need to make, and especially with futures. I talk about futures very rarely, if it boils down, month to month, probably only make 2 trades a month of futures, and they're good trades. You know what I mean? Because I've waited, and the opportunity presents itself, and it becomes more obvious that something is going to happen. You make a really good trade. You don't sit there trading every day just because you classify yourself as a day trader, and this is where you make your money. You shouldn't be sitting around trading every day. That's madness. I mean, if you're a currency trader, I suppose that's how you do it. But the best way to trade is to sit back and relax and wait for the trade to come to you, not you trying to force a trade out of a range which is not yet determined. Anyway, I digress. So let's just sit back and wait and see. I think this range is what's going to be hashed out here. We're going to mess around in this area, and this is the most likely scenario. So expect a low of potentially just around the $40,000 zone, but this would all be invalidated if we were to start closing within this box. But again, the week is only just begun. It's very young. We're still Monday morning over here, and traditional markets haven't even opened in America yet. The pre-market is down, which isn't the be-all and end-all, but it's a telling sign of why Bitcoin is continuing to be down. Altcoins getting trashed, which is good if you employ my strategy, which is to trade with a Bitcoin pair and treat your sats as your balance and not what your sats are worth, because over time your sats will likely be worth a lot more than they are today. So let's just think about your sats, right? And that's how I prefer to trade on the most part. And let's just sit and wait and chill, and we'll see. Are we going to go down here? Are we going to close within here? What are traditional markets going to do? I don't know. It's still Monday morning. Anyway, I'll leave you there. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a nice day, and subscribe to the channel. You might as well, so you don't end up watching old videos which are obviously not relevant anymore. Stick to the program and get updates on a daily basis that are more relevant, obviously. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.